Hello peeps, it's the Hillbilly Half with you today. What we're going to talk about today is, I haven't mentioned anything about it before because I wanted to get the full facts first. And that's the goings on inside the UK for the last week really. I need a shave, don't I? And regarding the sort of rioting and attacks on kids and whatever, I've got to be careful what I say, so the video will be taken down. You know what I'm on about. There's been a couple, hasn't there? There's been a soldier attacked just over a week ago, and a kids group at the start of the week. It's been horrific, isn't it, by a load of nutcases. Apparently they're not terror related, even though they terrorised the people they attacked. I don't get that somehow. But what we're going to talk about is the reaction by the media to it all. Now, if you're like me, once I saw through all this a few years ago, I always look for what they're trying to hide. And to me, that's what they're trying to hide, the original source of the incidents. Because they've gone quiet about them now. What they've moved on to is the aftermath, not the incidents themselves. Now, there is a saying that the media use. It's called throwing a dead cat on the table. And it's a dead cat story. So what they do is they encourage other stories to take over the story that they don't want there, or the stories they don't want there, which is the original ones I've just mentioned. Now, in my 50 years on this planet, I have noticed a lot of something that people don't notice. The UK government do very well around the world because they get people embedded into these psycho groups. And sometimes they're at the top, like in the IRA, they were in the top of the IRA. One of the top two guys in the IRA was a British informant. And I read the book about it. Some of the stuff that guy was getting up to was sick. But nobody let it be known at all. They also happened in the 70s when I was in my early years with the far right. I remember Panorama did a programme on it, which was a bit bizarre, saying about how the security services infiltrated the far right gangs and they were actually encouraging them to do stuff. Now that was on Panorama when I was younger. Now, a lot of people might be a bit upset with what I'm going to say. I think another person in charge who's at the head of these groups at the moment is the same. Now, I won't mention his name, but I think it's very, very weird when there's incidents that they want to remove. They send this person in to create havoc, and then the story moves off the original sad circumstances. As I said earlier on, in the 70s it was done. You'd have some kind of a problem and then suddenly the far right would appear. No coincidence. Now, I think the same thing happens here. Now, I've thought this for a while, since the chap was took into the nick a few years ago. I think they threatened the guy, to be honest, and said he ain't going to get out of here unless you help us. That's what I think happened. I'm not going to mention his name But that's how the UK security services work. They frighten people to work for them. It's how all these Al-Qaeda people work for them. There's lots of people that we think are bad people who are working for our security services. Now, I think I'm going to say to people, be very careful with this guy, TR, because that's what I think he is. I don't think he was originally, but he was turned a few years ago when they arrested him. Now, it was something happened last year when not last year, the year before, when there was a march at Churchill's statue in London, and it all turned into this massive TR march when it was just veterans, and it wasn't really anything to do with him. And ever since then, I thought that's a bit weird, because they changed something that was really a nice march by people who were just normal servicemen into something else. That's what first perked my ears up about this. And I've been noticing it this last week because it's changed. They've used him to change the story off what originally happened, where lots of people were sadly attacked and murdered. And you're not even hearing them talking about that now. The dead cat has been thrown on the table. And anybody who mentions the original story is shut down. Like I said, I have to be very careful what I say in here, because if I say any of these key words, you know what happens. So, what is happening in our country? I think they're encouraging people to do stuff, to hide their stories, these last two stories I mentioned earlier, so they can bring in some new laws. That's what I think is happening. They're trying to bring in some new anti-demonstration laws. And they're using everybody, really, to get them in force. So you'll think it's a great thing until you're going to demonstrate about something, and then your rights have gone in a flash, like that. So, mark my words, be careful of TR. I won't mention the name, because originally I think he was okay, but I think at the moment he's been turned by you know who. So once you see through it all, you can see it plain as day. The dead cat story has took all the media in the one direction they wanted to go. So please comment, rate and subscribe. And I know some people won't agree with me, but I just tell it how it is and my own experience of political stuff. Please subscribe. All the best, Gaz.